Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussion series. We are going to be discussing, this time, an idea from Levi, so we will put that in there for everybody. Before we do, we've got myself, Adam L. Spain, with the Inn of Planar Crossroads, the host of this particular talk, and we've got Dan from Avenue Studios. There you go.
Hello.
You can check him over at Avenue Studios on YouTube. And y'all had a podcast releasing somewhere, right?
Yes, we're pretty much everywhere. Our host site is Red Circle, but we're on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Bomb Squad is the main show. There's Druid's Table, and Jacob's Lab's a new show that's coming out in 2 weeks. So, check it out.
Cool beans. And we've got Dan, we got Levi too, but Levi has a yet undecided some sort of thing that he will eventually plug at some point in the future. So.
You know what? I am friends with some of the people who run Action Fiction. They're a cool TTRPG company that makes some neat stuff.
There
They do Monsters of Merca for 5e and other things, but that's their biggest hit.
Cool beans. So Levi is our spotlighter. How about that?
Nice.
Ooh, okay. No, that sounds like a fun role.
Yeah,
I'm just friends with the dudes of this.
Well, see, now you're setting yourself up as the spotlighter who says, hey, every time we come and do a chat, you say, okay, and I'm Levi, and this time I'm spotlighting.
These cool people. Yeah, no, I'm okay with this.
I love that.
There we have found you a role. Yes. Good. Okie dokie. So, this time we are going to be discussing Levi's idea in our Around the Hearth. So, pull up your preferred beverage. Mine is hot cocoa, and
that's solid.
That's a solid choice. Hot cocoa with some peppermint in it, peppermint candies in it. It's pretty good. But pull up yours, sit down by the fire, around the hearth, and let's discuss Levi's idea.
I'm still in the kitchen. It's still brewing.
Well, I'm not promising any ASMRs like those Avenue Studio hacks. I mean, come on now.
Just wait. David's so excited.
That's some of the content I won't be listening to. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, Levi.
Please, everybody.
All right. My core concept, name to be determined by the time of video's release, is built on the central premise of an obviously trapped place that will provide you an important benefit to surviving the future traps. So you would be walking maybe down the steps into a cavern, a cellar, some other place, and there would be a very clear and obvious pressure plate with a hole in the middle, and you can see the tip of the spike standing out a half-inch up.
Okay.
If you step on this and let it stab you, you do not tell the player what happens to them. You're just like, okay, you take a d4 of damage. Actually, that works in a lot of systems. Depending on the system, you might just give some number. You want it to be minuscule. And then you don't tell them what else happens. One of my favorite examples for it would be, for example, it gives them a potion of water breathing.
Oh, okay.
And they get trapped in a room where they have to solve a puzzle as the water rises, and if they let themselves get stabbed by the trap, it's relatively easy to actually solve. The kind of person who would set this up is someone who is watching people go through their trapped area.
Okay.
Right?
So it fits into like the Mad Wizard Mordecai, what's his name? Eltmiser. or something like that. From Ed Greenwood. But yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, where I have my specific lore built in and whatnot area, where there might be a couple of these anti-trap then trap, is I have future idea, if I ever actually get around to it, the campaign Up the Devil's Horn. A contract devil has a gladiatorial arena, and to ask a favor of this devil face to face, you normally wouldn't get a chance to see them, you're able to go through their trials. They have something of an arcane eye watching you to then display and have your failures be part of a future show that they use to draw people in. They have their own little movie theater, and they would watch the adventurers go through this and fail, potentially die.
So it's like torture porn for demons and stuff.
Yes.
I was getting a Saw vibe as you're talking about it. It's like...
how far you want to go along that? Like, for example, the water-breathing one, you would have the sort of thing that, like, as it pokes up, you have, like, text overlay or someone in the audience, depending on what level of magic you want to include. There could be someone being like, like, as they're going, they're narrating, these people have water breathing and these ones don't. So, like, as the trap fills up, 2 of the people are solving the puzzle and the other 2 people are gurgling. Maybe they get out, maybe they don't.
This feels an awful lot like those Japanese game shows where they're really mean to certain comedians and they trying to make them laugh, or those obstacle courses that they have.
Yes.
Yeah. A little more, like, I imagined there would be 2 anti-trap traps over the course of a decent distance, and the people are like, we've walked a long way, and all we've dealt with were those 2 super easy to move around, super obvious traps. I don't get what's up with it. And then you get into a room with, like, trapeze and, like, monkey bars and whatnot over electrified water. And the 2 earlier traps were resist lightning and water walking.
Well, that worked too.
The important point of that combo is that even if you only got hit by 1, you still have, like, a marked benefit in getting through the room. But the point is that, like, the giant, massive armor-clad person either has to take all that off and try and go on the monkey bars, or just deal with the fact that they are not getting what they want. So part of the interest of this is what draws people to it is that such a powerful, like, contract devil would know many things, be able to alter contracts, get them lots... Like, there's a lot of things they could do, so there's a lot of draw for people to try this. And they have to come to that decision point in that room. Part of the point of that is if you did this to players, the trapeze, they could just nope out of it right there. And it's not like the water-breathing one where you just kill your players.
Well, I could see this starting to play into the idea of maybe not even a contract devil, but like a fae, especially with the way warlocks work and they have to have their patrons.
Yeah.
Those fae get really capricious. Maybe that fae is like, you know what? I want to help somebody, but I need people for my show to show the other fae. So I'm going to sponsor this particular warlock, and he's going to be in a group, and he's going to either, be in a group or form a group, and he's going to bring me these powerful players after they've gained strength, so they'll make a good show for the fae. That way you can keep it where it's not, there's maliciousness in it, but there's like, the fae want somebody to succeed, but they want them to entertain them while they get the success. And that could be a way to have a beneficial portion to that, especially with the way that fae are so want to play on the idea of it looks one way, but it's actually another. You could really work that with this particular idea.
So the total number of ways, like a pit trap that lets you get away, like it actually leads you into another hallway that lets you bypass the dart room. Like, the exact number of ways you could apply this basic concept are large, but you can't do it too regularly, or it becomes pretty clear, hey, every single trap you walk up to, let it hit you.
Yeah.
Until you get to the just real, super obvious trap.
The guillotine trap. Oh, well, guess we better put our head in there. No, you idiot. It's a literal guillotine trap. What are you doing?
And my question would be, and when you're starting it, it sounded like you were saying the initial traps are fairly obvious. So do the players, are you thinking they kind of know this deal already, or is it a surprise? And how would you get there?
Okay, so that's the thing why I am warning not to use this concept too often.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I want it to be suspiciously obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's why I also say if there's like a magical effect, you do not tell them what it does. Because I want it to be that they can try it, and they can see it clearly doesn't instantly kill them, but they do not know what's happening. The hope, in my case, is that there will be a mixture of people who have let it hit them and people who have not, because of the uncertainty of what's going on.
Yeah.
So it would be very much so they're just going, everything else has been relatively normal. Maybe you do it a time or two with no real clear indication of what has happened because of it.
I could see something, if you're wanting to... This can be tricky to introduce to characters and players to have them understand what's going on. So if you had one that was somewhat unavoidable, they had to do something with this trap, like maybe you set it up where they think that the person who's about to trip the trap might have to deal with really heavy, hard effects, and then they don't. And they're like, well, what's up with that? What's the deal here? And so they're kind of questioning that, and then you can introduce the inoculated character to that trap that they're now inoculated against. And they could start to see, well, hey, some of these traps are good, and some of these traps are good for you, and some of these traps are bad for you. So you could have them questioning all throughout this dungeon, but you only do it, like you said, like maybe 2 or 3 times in the dungeon, so that you can, like a little small dungeon, so that you can keep them guessing with the various traps.
Yeah, I do like that idea, because then it becomes a game. They get the special thing, but now it's, you never know when it is, and they've got to get hit by a really bad trap sometime that they think is going to be good for them.
Yeah, they're going to be trying, well, that one was good for me. Well, what about this next one? Well, I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, it's got to be the one that's good for me, right? It's like, my arm. Sure, go ahead and stick your hand in that statue's mouth and see what happens. Yeah.
Yes, classic.
That's the thing you obviously need to do. Yeah, sure.
I like that, because it's like a double mind game, because you're messing with them at first about these obvious traps, and then they think they get the joke, and you mess with them again. That's really cool.
So that is again, the exact implementation is exceptionally broad for this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I could see where you would have, especially if you... It could get tricky if you had it where the things that you're doing to them would allow them will saves or con saves or, whatever type of save. That might get a little tricky unless they're okay with you rolling it behind the screen type of thing. So I could see it being really fun for a group that was on board for the idea, especially if you tell them they're going into the Fey Wild or they're having to deal with something like that. If you know that you're dealing with a Fey, you should expect things to get weird. You should expect things to get crazy. So I think this would work. I think it'd work really good in the Fey Wild, in a Fey Wild dungeon, or in a like you said, basically game show. It's not a game show, but it's a show, a thing that
Honestly,
these devils are
game show
working.
is the farthest away, because like there is a prize at the end. You are being watched for other people's entertainment, and you are hopeful, and they are expecting you to fail.
It's a great lawful evil type game. You will get the prize if you survive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I can definitely see this being kind of recurring in a longer term campaign too, of that satisfied, like they've got to go do the game show again and all the players just go, "Ugh, I hate that." You just do it like once a year or something, you know.
Oh yeah. The Warlock's patron comes back once a year, is like, time for payment. Let's put on a show.
Halloween's coming up. It would be a great Halloween episode in a campaign, you know, like
Halloween or April Fools or something like that.
Yes, oh, that's good too.
You could totally theme it around those. Man,
that's really fun.
If you
the demon rents you out to a different group of people for game show night.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I got to deal with these again. Or you get recurring. You do it a few times through the campaign, so you get recurring characters that come back for spotlights in the entertainment section of the devils.
Can you imagine if the like person who's like narrating and giving the play-by-play of their game show is also audible to the players?
That would be great.
Good.
That would be.
Yeah,
ooh, looks like Trogdor just whiffed it. And Trogdor's like, guys, shut up. I was raging.
He better be watching because there's another one coming. He's like, wait, what?
That would be funny. In
that case, I would have the announcer have little buttons to mess with them.
Oh no! And you have like a soundboard where you got or wah 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 or something like that, just so you can have the in-universe equivalent of that happen when they make a mistake.
Yes,
and you gotta have the Jeopardy music for when they're like working on puzzles or.
Yeah. Do 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 do. But you actually play it for your players. So
yes,
they can be like, "Oh, I hate that. Stop doing the do thing with your mouth." Well, I'm not. It's just a recording. You're gonna have to listen to it. They're playing it right now on you for you. You hear it.
They pull out. Yeah.
Oh man,
this is diegetic.
There it is.
Yeah.
Just because that's a fun word I like to use every once in a while.
That is good. Well done. Well played, sir.
All right. I think that sounds like fun when you get the buy-in of the players, because the characters don't have to buy in. They don't have to like it. But once the players are on board for it, especially if they know it's like not that there's no consequences, but that there's a reward at the end for the consequences, the players are much more willing to play for it. The characters, they're just going to have to deal.
Oh man, it could make some great RP too. I love sessions you have where the players are invested, but they're playing their character who is not, and they're doing that really well. So you're like having fun but complaining at the same time. That can get, when done well, can be so much fun.
Oh, you mean like Brick? Yeah.
Yes,
Brick.
That's actually just Ryan.
Ryan playing Ryan as Brick.
Correct. Oh man, that's great. That's a great idea.
Okay. Cool beans. We're at 19 minutes. Do you guys got anything you want to say extra about this particular one? It's a very broad one, and we've said several things, so it's up to y'all.
Don't overuse it.
That's good.
It wears out its welcome relatively easily.
Yeah, it can do that pretty quick. But that's why
you do a joke long enough, it gets funny again. No, I think as a general rule too, something that running games has taught me is patience 100% pays off. Just sprinkling things like that and waiting for it just to get that, like I said before, the at the table is so satisfying.
Yeah, build-up can be a real key to hitting it off just right.
Oh,
Yes.
because you could totally have like a multi-session dungeon where the trap that's important for the anti-trap to be at the very start of the dungeon, and you have your own little note card that you wrote down who got hit and who didn't, and like 7 sessions later in this thing,
Oh, that'd be fun.
it comes back up.
Remember when that spike poked your foot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that gave you this, and now you can't be affected by this particular thing that you're dealing with over here. It's like, oh, well, that's handy. Everybody else, roll.
Yeah, you can walk through this wall of force here. Everyone else is about to be squished by it.
Oh my gosh.
So that actually puts extra pressure onto the player, onto the character that has the inoculation, that's immune. They then have to work extra hard to figure out where the problem is, because then they can, because using your example with the two walls of force maybe closing in together, if they can run back and forth to the walls, and that's the whole trick, is to have somebody go back and forth to each of the walls and touch something or do something. So they would either have to figure out a way to get something through that wall of force or have that inoculated character do that. So that could be interesting. Add a bit of drama to the situation.
Oh yeah, that'd be really good. And everybody's just gotta cheer him on.
Come on.
This is your time.
And
at the end of the session, when they're really confused why only a couple of people can go through the walls, you explain... Oh yeah, you remember the thing forever ago? You're welcome.
You remember that wall of darts that flew out and only like 3 of you saved? Yeah, that means the two of you that didn't had to save the others. So that means that you could theoretically have like the barbarian or they get usually trap sense or something, but you could have the paladin in full plate trying to run back and forth across the room trying to figure it out, and the player dumped their int, so their character's trying to figure it out, and then everybody's yelling, and then the devils love it. The devils love the entertainment of it. So,
oh man, that would be really good, because the rogue is probably gonna save.
Yeah, the person you want disarming the traps. So, and this doesn't take away from the rogue.
Oh, that is a good irony.
Yeah. This doesn't take away from the rogue being useful either, because there are real traps.
Right.
But if you have like these not unavoidable but difficult to avoid or blatant traps, either way, because both work, then you could have it work through, and then those people that didn't save, that usually could, or that usually couldn't anyway, they get a spotlight trying to disarm a trap. And the rogue's trying to yell, over there! No, do you not see the red tripwire? It's always the red one. And then they yell back, but I'm colorblind!
Classic.
And then that really becomes canon. And then you
oh my gosh.
deal with it.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay. Final
I am
notes?
content with this.
Cool beans. So, that's what we've got for, I guess we might title this one, Traps Are Good For You? ? Or something like that.
That feels very title. That feels like a solid working title.
Solid working title. You'll be able to tell us in the comments if it's actually what we put on there. So, I think that's everything then. For this particular chat, we're going to record another one right now, behind the scenes. But,
wow.
Whoa, dude. But, I think that's everything. As far as we like to do our announcements real quick, if anybody has any. Dan, you got any before we go off?
Depending on when this comes out, our new actual play in Open Legend is Jacob's Lab, and that'll be coming out around October 15th, 2021. So check that out. I'll be a player in that one, so I'm excited to show you guys what we're doing. But yeah. that's what we got going.
Is this a live recording or is this podcast or what?
It's podcast, but it will be on YouTube with overlays of the character sheets and everything, and then on podcast, but audio only recording.
Okie dokie.
Yep.
All right. And Levi made his spotlight for who? Adventure?
Action fiction.
Action fiction.
Action fiction.
And Monsters of Merca.
Action fiction and Monsters of Merca, spotlighted by Levi. So there you go.
Awesome.
And I have been Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads. We're glad you stopped by to sip some drinks and sit around the hearth with us. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
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 This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.